We went for it, bro. Back to this. Back to the power pack.
Good morning. Let's take a look at the market. Got a few gappers here in small cap. Let's take a peek at those. The top gapper is, well, actually it's this one. This one's too cheap for me though. That looks like it might be warrants as well. STSSW. Yeah. All right, OSRH. The leading gapper looks like I might get squeezed on this one. We'll see. It's holding the flag really nicely. Looks like it's about to pop. Looks like that one could pop. No news though, other than earnings from the 14th, so kind of old. Kind of old. Probably should cut this one. We'll see what it does. A lot of times when these push to $1, that's pretty much all they can do. You just never know if it can go to $1.20, $1.10, $1.15, or maybe it's the off chance it just goes to $2. All right, let's see. OSRH. Yeah, so this is a healthcare biotech stock in Korea. What else do we have? Caps. 11 million in revenue. Some sort of acquisition. Adds 11 million in revenue with Carolina Stone acquisition. Drives immediate accretion of Southwest expansion. Announced the closing of its previously announced acquisition of Carolina Stone products ahead of schedule. So they acquired a company. Interesting. Definitely going to keep these on watch. HCWB is the next one. OSRH. Let me throw this on the watch list. Caps. All right, HCWB. What do we got? Biotech. Successfully developed second generation something. Definitely want to watch that one too. STSS, this one's already fading back. Well, this was a nice short at the VWAP in pre-market. Right around 6 o'clock. This one probably isn't going to come back. But if it does, it'll be a nice bounce short. STSS. Pop an alert on this one. All right, that's enough for the small caps. Really want to talk about Bitcoin here. So Bitcoin has a massive gap down overnight, over the weekend. And why? Because, well, I guess somebody decided to sell. This could be the suckers rally, but check out this pattern here. So this last consolidation pattern on Bitcoin held sideways for quite a while. It did take out the low a couple times before continuing higher. And this time around is a little bit different because we have a higher high fake out. So we broke the highs, pushed up to 125, and then now it's back to the support. So testing the lows again. Not a great look after this over the weekend dump. But you know what? As we saw back over here, we had a very similar situation where it gapped down into support, ended up holding, and then that led to the breakout. So definitely interesting. The last time we had a double top fake out, that was the top. So that was back here in January. And it led to this pullback for several months. So are we going to see that again? Maybe. Last time around, that pulled back to the previous high, perfectly to the previous high support area. And just like we see the higher high fakeouts on the top, we see the lower low fakeouts on the bottom, which it did right here before continuing back up. So classic price action stuff. Look again, lower low fake out before continuing higher right here again. This one gapped down too, so it gapped down, held, and then went higher. So hopefully we see that kind of scenario because we are gapping down into the breakdown area. And if it reclaims back up, it will be looking a lot better. So the question is, are we in sort of this area today? Because we're in a very similar situation on this chart, except for the double top fake out. It's the only difference really, but we had a push up here, take out the low, push higher. So we had to push here, take out the low, push higher. Back to the lows. So this came back to the lows, lower low. So if we hold here, maybe 111, 110 is the low, hopefully. This will become support. We've got to hold that support level, and then we can have a chance to go higher. Otherwise, it's going to be looking very sketchy for Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's very tied to the market. So it's funny how people want to diversify with Bitcoin, but then Bitcoin basically follows the market. I've got SPY in the background here, and it tracks with SPY pretty much perfectly. Pretty much perfectly. All right, looks like we got another gapper maybe. Let's see. What is this thing? Velo? Fresh runner. Recent reverse split. Has a chance to push. Has some fresh news on it. U.S. Army program funded initiative to advance high throughput aluminum, blah, 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 manufacturing defense applications. Okay, so participation with the U.S. Army Combat Capabilities Development Command Aviation Missile Center. So we got some news with the Army, so that's a big deal. This one might get going. We are long. 472 average. So we'll see if that can get going. Love it. All right. Let's go back to big cap stuff. And see what we have here. So Bitcoin's going to be very interesting today. Very interesting. And it kind of looks... It looks like this pattern back here, but you never really know. And I think as long as we hold up this 20 moving average on the weekly, we'll be looking pretty good for higher. These bigger moving averages start breaking down. That's where we have some trouble. So on the 100 on the daily, that pretty much has to hold up. Pretty much needs to hold that. Morning, Scotty. So with Tesla, we had the rate cut news, which is kind of pumping the whole market, except Bitcoin now. So a little bit of divergence with Bitcoin. And it's going to be interesting now to see how much the stuff can pump. Because a lot of times we see a big green day and then a big red day on these big caps. Unless they're truly getting some momentum, then we see those consecutive green day breakouts. Obviously, Tesla's still in this big wedge. Well, it's maybe breaking out of that wedge now. Officially breaking out of the wedge. It's done it before, though. And last time it struggled there. This time with this news, might actually have the juice to get a move up towards 400. I think the news with the rates kind of flipped everything. We were looking very weak before that. So everything pretty much turned on a dime. And we see things like Alibaba. Amazing looking breakout here in Alibaba. Breakout pullback on this pretty big trend line. But it has been tightening for a while. And now we're seeing a huge gap overnight on Alibaba. Probably going to be a red day. When things gap like that, I tend to think they're just going to come right back down the next day to fill the gap at least. Pretty insane, incredible move. And with Bitcoin dropping overnight, I don't know, that might help everything else come down too. Hard to say though. I do have swings on. So I have Lulu. Mentioned this one last week. And now we have a pretty clean looking trend line on Lulu breaking out. Super clean. Officially broken out of this trend line. So maybe we see breakout pullback today. And I'll add a bunch more Lulu. I really like this. This is a super beaten down chart. Huge potential to bounce into the end of the year. Maybe 30, 40, 50% potential on this trade. Just if it bounces back towards 300 bucks. And there is a gap to fill over here too. So this gap does need to fill. And that probably should be the target area for me. Just like over here, we had this drop. There was a gap here. And this gap filled too before it continued lower. Perfectly filled that gap too. It's insane how that works. Sometimes. Doesn't always work like that. So now we have another nice gap, and that could easily get filled. So that's probably going to be my target area for Lulu for the swing. Nike. Still have a swing on Nike. Huge push. Nice trend break here on Nike as well. Little trend break right here. And yeah, with everything else just kind of going up. But this is a huge consolidation pattern so far on Nike. Big flag. Potential head and shoulders, but also potential breakout coming. So I'm still holding that. Looking for at least a breakout over 80. And then we'll see what it does from there. But I always sell pieces into bounces to try to stay safe. Also have a bigger target in mind. Nike's still pretty beaten down. A lot of upside potential on it. And are there any gaps that haven't been filled? See, this gap got filled right here. Nice gap fill, and then it came down after that. There is a gap back here. But we need to get up to 120 to fill that one. It's probably going back up there. Lulu positive earnings will send it. That's right. We have earnings coming up on Lulu. Gonna have to hold through that, which I don't usually do, but it's a swing. So longer term swing trade. Gotta do it. Sometimes the earnings it works in your favor. So we'll see what happens. Tilray is my last swing. Pull this up on the 2 hour. Looks a lot better. So what did I get? I got 117 average on Tilray on Friday because this rate news kind of crazy, and it's pumping the market up quite a bit. Again, we don't know if it's going to be a big red day today or not, but Tilray has a pretty nice flag holding a higher low right here, and there is a potential breakout coming. So same setup that I took back here, but it's on a higher low, so we're going to risk around $1. See what we do. I don't know. I might sell that one. I'm not really sure what to think about the overall market, especially with Bitcoin gapping down like this. But you could argue maybe if Bitcoin's gapping down, then things are going to bounce. Kind of in a weird spot right here because Tesla had a huge green day. It's not down yet. It's not really following Bitcoin. SPY, not really following unless it's delayed. So super interesting spot. Just got to stick to these trades, stick to the risk levels. They'll either work or they won't. But we don't want to cut it early if it is going to work. Obviously, I'm shorting all the pump and dumps right now. OSRH, CAPS, HCWB, MRM already down. Hopefully we get some follow through on these. Trump's going after Venezuela right now. So that can shake things up in the market quite a bit. It's just another one of those things. A lot of random things happening all at once. Intel's getting pumped. Kind of crazy. Trump is on Intel. We had SoftBank getting involved for $2 billion. Trump's trying to get TSMC to get involved as well with Intel. So it's got the catalyst. Oh, the government bought a bunch of shares at right around $20. Yeah, Intel's getting some attention right now, for sure. And it's in the sell zone right now, but it's never had this kind of news behind it. So we could be seeing Intel go back towards $40, $50. Once it breaks out of this sideways channel. It's got a pretty clear base at $19. It's held that many times. And it probably, I'm guessing this is going to break out because it's getting pumped so hard by the government. The pumper in chief is on it. Of course, it feels like a huge chase up here for me. I was already long from right around the 19 area, in the 19s on this trend break. And I sold right around 21.50. That was a mistake. But if it sets up for a nice trade, I will get back in if it doesn't immediately blast off. Probably should have loaded some into the 23s, but there's always some random news coming out. Another thing I heard, I got to look into this, but the rate cut news is not final. That's what I heard. So it still may not happen. And if they flip-flop on that, then things are going to reverse pretty hard. I don't think they would. All right, 3 minutes to the bell. Let's see how we do today. So yeah, big hopes for Lulu here towards the end of the year. It is Monday. Don't get too excited. All right, our velo long is working out great so far. Meta going nuts. Wow. Yeah, huge spike out of the gate on Meta. Okay, Tesla having a week open. Week opens as we were expecting because such a big move on Friday. Looks like a pop and drop on Meta. Other stocks dipping like Coin, Baba. Baba's kind of filling the gap now. Baba could hold up, I think, from here potentially. Cap's coming down nicely now. Hopefully that sustains the downtrend. Oh, HCWB is up. HCWB halted up. Tilray looking nice. Is it a morning spike or is it going to sustain the breakout and actually push over $1.40? That's the big question. Trump was talking about grass the other day. So you never know. Mid-journey news on Meta? Okay. Let's see. Oh, Tilray. Tilray pushing nicely. Very, very nice. So the breakout level is right here, $1.37. So usually we'll tap the breakout, pull back, and then actually break out. So we'll see how it reacts around this breakout level. Velo came back down, unfortunately. All right, Tilray tap in the breakout level. It's going to have to hold some kind of higher low. Best case for this is it consolidates for a little bit this morning and then maybe breaks out further through the midday. Apple's sort of bucking the trend here. A lot of stocks are down out of the gate. UNH, PLTR, CoreWeave, Tesla, Coin. So far, Apple is the only one spiking, or it's one of the only ones spiking out of the gate. So hopefully Tilray holds a higher low over here. I'm going to try to hold for the breakout. UNH is giving me another chance to buy back in. Again, this one's a little bit strange because it has this huge gap, which wants to be filled. Doesn't have to be filled, but there's a gap right around 274. If that gets filled, I will definitely be loading in quite a bit. I'm gonna buy some Tesla. For a swing, gonna follow this algo, swing algo right here. My prediction is this huge wedge into a breakout pullback. So I'm gonna be risking down here, maybe 326 risk. Average into it, see how we do with that. Okay, till rate, testing the breakout level again. Might get the break. Hopefully, I don't really want it to break here yet. I'd rather see it pull back a little bit, not too much, and then hold a higher low, and then set up maybe after half an hour, and then push through 138. Right around noon would be perfect. HCWB wants to squeeze. Intel putting in a nice little dip. The government is long at $20 a share. Intel said Monday the acquisition of 9.9% stake by the U.S. government as part of an $8.9 billion investment deal could pose risks to its business. Okay. Including an impact on non-U.S. sales and a limit on its ability to secure future government grants. So they want government money, but they don't want they don't want it this way. Probably all just a bunch of nonsense. This thing has flip-flopped so many times now. The easiest thing to do is just buy the dip. So we'll keep an eye on it. OSRH looks like it's done. HCWB squeezed pretty nicely. This is the squeezer. HCWB. $3.50 to $7 intraday. Pretty incredible move. All right, Tilray trying to push the breakout still. What a beautiful looking chart. Again, I have it long from 117 from Friday. So really want this breakout to work though. I'm willing to write out some chop. Oh, there we go. Officially pushing the breakout. 138. Poking through. This has some pretty big potential. $139. You have Tesla long, Nugent long at Tesla 338.50. Take a look at that. I also have Tesla long. Looking good. Looks like a breakout pullback so far on this big wedge. It can be choppy around the wedge. So far looking pretty clean. So again, Silveray testing that breakout level. I expect it to get choppy around there. Could fail right there. But I'm gunning for the breakout. Basically a free chance now at the breakout. I'll risk break even on the trade and give this a chance to really break out, and I won't get chopped out of it. I want to see if it can break out convincingly and push up towards $1.50, $1.60 over the next day or two. Now, Trump likes to speak in cryptic language because he's told us what to do in the market multiple times already if we just listen. Now, this is a little bit out there, but it's kind of funny. Why is Trump talking about grass? This is just weird.
In DC, one of the things we're going to be redoing is your parks. I'm very good at grass because I have a lot of golf courses all over the place. I know more about grass than any human being, I think, anywhere in the world. And we're going to be regrassing all of your parks, all brand new sprinkler systems, the best that you can buy, just like the Augusta. No, it'll look like Augusta. It'll look like, more importantly, Trump National Golf Club. That's even better. But we're going to have all brand new, beautiful grass. You know, like everything else, grass has a life. Do you know that? Grass has a life. You know, we have a life and grass has a life. And the grass here died about 40 years ago in D.C. One of the things.
So Trump's bringing the grass back. He knows all about the grass. The grass is old. We gotta get the grass out. Replace the grass. I know all about the grass. All right, you sold Tesla at 341.10. Nice. All right, let's see if I could squeeze on HCWB again. This one could keep going. See you, Scotty. Yeah, I think I'll call it there. I have a few shorts on. I'm mainly worried about HCWB getting squeezed a second time, but we'll see what happens with that. We have caps, MRM, OSRH as well. For the swings, we have Tilray, Nike, Lulu, and a small position on LAC. See what happens with that. Just bought Tesla as well for a swing. shorter term swing. We'll see what that one does too. That one's following the algo. Simple algo trade. So, gonna call it there, guys. Good luck, everyone. We'll be back tomorrow. I'll put some updates in the Discord later.